My brother-in-law is the reason why my husband left me. I don't know what to do now.
All right, I'm buckling up
Getting
for this.
into it. We're getting into it. I, female 38, met my brother-in-law, 38, at uni. He asked me out in our first year, and I refused. He called me the C word and that I am shallow. My best friend told me that it was a harmless comment from a drunken guy who got rejected. I never thought of myself as shallow. It was his demeanor and awkwardness that was off-putting to me. Anyways, he proved my friend right, and other than these comments, I have never felt uncomfortable during my uni years because he never bothered me again. Not even looked my way. Next time I met him was when my baby sister, female 28, introduced him to me as her boyfriend. I didn't even recognize him at first because it was like 9 to 10 years since that day he talked to me. He was visibly annoyed that I didn't recognize him, and he called me a liar. The family was skeptical at first about him, but he seemed to treat my sister right, and she seemed happy. Parentheses, he is very rich. Taking her all over the world, and he seemed kind with her too. They got married after a year of dating. They now have 3 children. I met my now ex, male 40, 5 years ago, and the only odd comment from my brother-in-law was that I was still as shallow and superficial as I was in university. At the time, I took it as a joke, but in hindsight, when I found out the truth and started thinking back looking for red flags, this was probably a big one. He never showed any signs that he disliked my husband, and he was always decent enough with his indifference to have a close friendship with my husband and I. Didn't seem odd because he was always kind of a recluse anyways. A year ago, my husband came home and accused me of cheating, and he had evidence. The guy contacted him and he had nudes, etc. of me on his phone. The guy told my husband that he didn't know at first that I was married, but as soon as he found out, he contacted my now ex. He even apologized to my husband. I have never met this guy in my life. Nothing I said or did made my husband believe me. He left me, and our divorce is pending. Then yesterday, the guy contacted me. He apologized for what he did and told me that he is friends with my brother-in-law. He sent me conversations, endless conversations my brother-in-law had about me for years. He has never forgotten that I, in his words, quote, didn't even give him a chance and only judged him by his looks. He called me a C word in that chat too. Both group chat with his friends, but mostly with this guy. They planned this attack, and my brother-in-law somehow got access to my photos. The reason this guy contacted me now is that he felt guilty because even when my marriage is over, my brother-in-law still was angry and hateful, especially when he heard that I was on a date last weekend. So the friend felt that he didn't help his friend, but ruined innocent people's lives instead. Not sure what to do. My brother-in-law has actually been happier and more sociable than usual since my divorce, and now I know why, although first I thought he felt sorry and wanted to support me. He jokes about me ending up an old maid with cats as companions, and it doesn't sound like jokes anymore. He means them. I don't want to ruin my sister's life. She's very happy with her husband. I'm not sure if I should tell my ex or not. I'm very heartbroken that he didn't believe me. I love him very much. He is the love of my life. But I'm not sure if I can forgive him for not believing me. But he is a victim in this too, so maybe he needs to know for closure. I'm so terribly sad and hurt. I'm sorry this post has gotten very long.
Oh my God.
How do people with kids have conversations ever? Because those guys hear everything, even when you think they're not in the room. I was having a conversation with my friend on her couch alone, or so I thought, and I was saying to her, yeah, so for the last 3 months she's been dodging all of her fake friends and making excuses not to see them. She literally hasn't seen them in months because she's scared that if she sees them they'll find out about the pregnancy and then they'll judge her. And I'm like, girl, why do you even want to be friends with these people if they're going to judge you so hard for getting knocked up, you know? All of a sudden my friend's daughter spawns on the stairs and looks down at us and says, why doesn't she want anybody to know that she's pregnant? Isn't being pregnant a happy thing? And I just went, And then my friend had to say to her daughter, well, sometimes people aren't very excited for people when they get pregnant. And her friend doesn't have a husband. And sometimes when somebody gets pregnant and doesn't have a husband, people are very mean to them about it. And her daughter went, that's awful. And we were like, yeah, it is. I don't mind the kids being a part of the conversation at all, to be honest. I just worry that I'm going to accidentally say something I'm not supposed to say in front of them, and then they're going to say it everywhere.
Am I in the wrong for telling my sister to accept her daughter as white? Both me, 33 female, and my sister, 27 female, are Caucasian Latinas. However, she's always been more tan than me, a fact that she's always been very proud of. For reference, my skin tone is close to Aubrey Plaza's while hers is closer to Gina Rodriguez. When we were younger, she would constantly talk about how European I looked compared to her, how my hair looked more blonde than brown, which no one ever agreed with, and how certain colors I liked looked awful on me due to my skin tone. I almost never said anything because I was 6 years older and had better things to do. Also, while I did have many insecurities, I never doubted that I was beautiful. Fast forward to now, we both have kids. My husband is a little more tan than me, and both our children, 8 male and 3 female, have the same skin tone as their father. My sister's ex and baby daddy, however, was very pale Swiss guy. My niece, 5 female, is a fair-skinned girl with dark blonde hair, while my daughter is more tan and has dark brown hair. Everyone agrees that both girls are beautiful, but their skin tones have always bugged my sister. She insists that both girls are equally tan, that her daughter's hair is light brown, and that my daughter spends too much time in the sun. Last weekend, we were all at a dinner party at my father's place. My son brought his notebook and drew pictures of everyone at the table. He colored my daughter's skin darker shade than my niece. For example, orange for my daughter, light pink for my niece. He also gave my niece yellow hair and colored my daughter's hair black. He lost his brown pencil. When he showed us the drawings, my sister frowned. She said he was exaggerating his cousin's features and that he could at least make her hair darker. When my niece said that she loved the drawing, my sister told her it looked nothing like her and insisted my son was doing this on purpose. Before the kids could get upset, I pulled my sister aside and told her that she was being ridiculous. We had a very small fight in the next room. Near its end, I said something along the lines of, "Listen to me, your daughter is white. We're all white. You need to accept that and stop comparing the girls if you don't want niece's name to become insecure." We left shortly afterwards and none of the kids have brought anything up again. My sister is pissed at me. She told both of our divorced parents about our fight. Our father thinks that I shouldn't have commented on my niece's appearance and wants me to apologize to my sister. Our mom thinks that this is dumb, but says that my sister is overreacting. Am I in the wrong?
Found out my wife is cheating on me with her therapist. Should I report him so he can lose his license, divorce her and take all her money, or should I just confront her and make her feel guilty for the rest of her life? This is now my story time and sending me an Instagram. I'm 39 and I work in tech. Unfortunately, 3 years ago I was laid off. My wife is 44 and a very, very successful lawyer. Thankfully, we both had high-paying jobs, so we were able to give our daughters a very comfortable life. Before I got laid off, my wife and I had considered her becoming a stay-at-home mother, essentially just working from home. She has a big office with about 20 employees, but she can usually work from home, but she loves to go to her office. We had a live-in babysitter. She took care of the girls and minded everything about them. Thankfully, our daughters really loved her. She eventually got married and pregnant, so we knew we needed to find somebody else. So when I got laid off, I saw it as an opportunity to become the best stay-at-home dad. And that is what I did. When we broke the news to our daughters that I would be staying home with them, they were so excited. We even took them out of daycare. I had the best time with my daughters. I had them doing art projects, acting in plays. I even created my own education system for them, which they loved. We learned about history, politics, and medicine every single day, and I got them cooking and gardening. We even had PE. For an entire year, we had the perfect life. My wife was working from home more, which meant I was spending more time with her and with the kids. We even gave ourselves the time to go on family vacations. I thought everything was great. My wife has a high-stress job. This means that she's stressed and she sometimes brings it home with her. The girls and I can tell, and it bothers me. So 2 years ago, I asked her to get into therapy, which she did. And here's the thing that everyone says. Everything was great until it wasn't. I started noticing that she was way more distant from me. She did not want me to touch her, so there was absolutely no sexy time. Before this, her and I did it almost every single night. So the sudden drop-off meant something was definitely wrong. When I asked her what was wrong, she said nothing. But it kept happening for 2 months. So again, I confronted her and asked her. And again, she said nothing. I knew this couldn't be good. And of course, I started getting insecure. I thought maybe she wasn't attracted to me, or that maybe she was getting it somewhere else. So I did what any good husband would do. I hired a private investigator. And let me tell you, private investigators are not cheap. $20,000 later, he shows me some evidence. There were emails, texts, phone calls. I even tracked her phone. The final nail in the coffin were pictures. And the pictures were of my beautiful wife. But she wasn't alone. She was photographed at different bars, restaurants, walking out of hotels, and even motels with the same man. I didn't know who this man was. I only knew that he was much older than me, very good looking, and looked very well off. That's when my private investigator told me that this man is a therapist. My wife had been having a year-long affair with her therapist. I was brokenhearted and it stung really bad. I thought our life was pretty good. Our daughters were really happy. I kept the house looking great at all times, and I thought I kept her happy too. But I had to pull myself together because as he's showing me these pictures and evidence, 2 very young daughters are out in the back tending to our cherry tomatoes. Definitely didn't want my daughters to find out that their lying whore of a mother having an affair behind their daddy's back. So I made my wife's favorite dinner, roasted salmon quiche and endive salad. I greeted her with her favorite drink, and we all sat down and had the most amazing family dinner. The following day, I called my lawyer and found out what my options were. Basically, I can divorce her and take a lot of money. But am I really going to put my daughters through a divorce, them choose who they want to live with? Because there is no way I'm letting my two precious babies live with her and her new boyfriend. Who knows what kind of perverts they are. In fact, it could take years of litigation. I hate her for what she's done, but I love my daughters too much to break the family apart. I know what that's like personally. My parents had a brutal divorce when I was 12 years old. The judge asked me who I wanted to live with. It was traumatic. Refused to expose my daughters to that kind of trauma. I did take it a step further. I went to the therapist and asked him how she was going. I told him that I was worried because she was very distant, and that if she were cheating on me, I would make her and that man's life miserable. Later that day, my wife came home in a very, very bad mood. I asked her why, but I assumed he probably broke up with her. He really want to lose his license? Probably not. That's when the private investigator confirmed they were no longer seeing each other. And guess what? My wife asked me to do it. So now she's coming back around. The problem is she might cheat again. Should I make her pay or do what's best for our daughters?